Hello, sir. Welcome to our macroeconomic podcast about the state of Canada's economy and where we think it could potentially go in the future. And I think we're just going to go and jump straight into things. We're going to start it off with Kyle talking about Canada's stage in the business cycle at this moment in time. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Jacob.
No worries.
So currently our GDP is at 2.27 trillion, and it's a little bit up from last year, which was 2.23 trillion, and this is up by 1.79%. So we're doing a little bit well on our GDP. However, our potential GDP is definitely not where it should be. It's at 3.1, and we're definitely not getting close to that for now. And this is kind of showing that we're below our potential, and it kind of indicating a recessionary gap. So yeah, and then. Do you want to add something? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So another thing that adds on to this is that our unemployment rate is currently at 6.7%. So this is a reminder that Canada's NRU is between 4 to 6%, which that is considered full employment. However, this is a cause of concern because it could be much worse than it is now, and there's still the future with Trump.
Oh, we'll get into that in a little for sure. Ryder, do you want to?
Yeah. Okay. So adding on to what Kyle said. So the inflation rate of the consumer price index, or CPI, is 1.9%, which is luckily down 1.2% from the 3.1% the year prior, and is around where the Bank of Canada wants it to be, which is 2%. So this indicates a recessionary gap because you have the factors of Canada's GDP being below what it should be. It's below its potential. And the unemployment rate is above the national rate of unemployment, as Elliot brought up earlier, at 6.7%, and inflation rate being 1.9%. All these factors culminate into signs of showing some cause for concern, but things have looked much worse in terms of economic situations in Canada.
Yeah, well, speaking of things that could be, bad for Canada's economic station, Elliot brought it up a little bit earlier about Trump's incoming presidency. Those tariffs that he mentioned, those 25%, 20%,
25, I think.
51st state. 51st state.
Oh, 51st state.
First state.
Those tariffs coming across the board, that's not going to be good for us. That's going to be a big problem for at least the next 4 years.
So, whether people realize it or not, sorry to interrupt, but it will affect everybody across the country.
Oh, of course.
So
Needless to say.
I know it was a joke when it first came up. Trump was just joking with Trudeau, but I think if we think about it, in the future, becoming the 51st state might not actually be that big of a deal. If anything, it might strengthen where we are now.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, why is that?
Dude, do you have no I don't know, national pride?
Well, our national pride is committing many war which led to the creation of the Geneva. So you want to talk about that?
I thought that was
Well, we did a lot of work.
Doing?
We did a lot of work.
I guess that's true, but let's get back to
Why?
let's raise the level of discourse and get back to the topic at hand, which is whether or not Canada, even though it started as a joke, should become the 51st state.
Okay, so let's say we do join the U.S. First thing that happens is that we become the largest country in the world. The second thing is that we would get more jobs. If we get these 25% tariffs, we're losing 20% of our cars that we ship to the U.S. If we become part of the U.S., we don't have to deal with those tariffs. We would be the same country. We would create more jobs, if anything.
Well,
our
yeah.
GDP would rise.
And there would be some national purists out there who are like, yes, the identity is being affected, but what does the identity really mean if we're not making any money, if everyone's poor?
Look, we have
What's
been...
the identity
Of
really
course, I'm
mean?
not suggesting that
Could I
everyone's
say
going to be
one
poor.
Of course.
Before we start talking about the identity, we need to remember Canada's history. It was because of Great Britain that we didn't get annexed by the U.S. a long time ago. Look, we're a country, right? But we got protected. We don't really have much to talk about when it comes to protecting. What's stopping the U.S. if they ever actually do try to annex us?
What's stopping the U.S. is that they stand more to gain from keeping us as an ally, as a trading partner, than just annexing us.
He does have a point.
The US
we are rich in natural resources.
We're so rich in natural resources, and we're such a large trading partner with the U.S. that if we have a $2 trillion economy and we ship the vast majority of our our goods, our exports to the United States still stands to gain way more from keeping us as an ally, as a trading partner, and as a friend than they stand to gain by just annexing us, causing resentment, not only within our country, even within their own country, and maybe what are we doing here? What are we doing here? But it's even countries like Great Britain, which you mentioned earlier, and other allies, they're not going to take too kindly to just this giant North American superpower. What about Mexico? Is Mexico next?
Well,
where does it stop?
Actually, back in the past, I did have remember like there was Texas, Republic of Texas. It
Well,
was
I
a
do know- I
country.
do know
It
that.
did get taken.
But again, that was what 200, almost 300. No, it was about 200 years ago.
Okay, so what about 300 years in the future?
300 years in the future? Well, who knows by then? We're talking about 3 to 5 years down the line. 3 to 5 years down the line, all I'm concerned about is the fact that Canada needs to find a way to kind of get out of this
Okay.
bad period, this recession that we find ourselves in, which I believe, Ryder could talk a little bit about how we could find our way out of that situation now.
Could I just say like one more thing?
Of course.
So
Right.
we did have it out. It was Doug Ford. He wanted to put some like restrictions on like what was it, oil and like energy as well. But we're not going to do that because what is it like in Alberta? They said that like if we do
it
that,
would cripple Alberta.
it would cripple them. So we're not going to have it out. And if that's the only out that's being like shown to us,
That's
what's
not the
we
only
have?
out. It's an option. It's an option that
It's
we have.
the main option.
We have to
though.
put
have so much.
have to put cards on the table because we can't show the U.S. that we're going to be pushed around. We're not going to be yes men. We're not going to be, shoved around and
Like, we cannot
kind of-
simply sit back and just let our entire country's identity be reduced to that of a milk toast yes man.
I think that's the perfect
I
way
like.
to
I
say
actually
it.
do. I like that.
It's a good way.
But I think that's kind of a good point. I think we should kind of get back on track.
Okay.
I think we should talk about how we can close or kind of fix this bad period,
Okay.
this problem that we find ourselves in. And Ryder, I think this is your time.
Oh
to shine.
yes, of
Go ahead.
course. All right, so you can only really tell if there's an inflationary or recessionary gap in hindsight. But based on what we've seen, we strongly believe there could be a recessionary gap right now. And to close this potential recessionary gap, expansionary fiscal policy is the way to go. So that specifically means to increase government spending, but obviously this does not mean at all printing more money, because that could lead to an extreme expansionary gap
A multiplier effect.
because of the multiplier effect. Yes, because the money changes hands.
Connections.
Okay, so anyways, aside from that, yes, the money would multiply, creating expansionary gap. But what we need right now is expansionary fiscal policy. It is obviously what needs to happen, because this would avoid the multiplier effect, but also bring things back to where they should be, because taxes would still be decreased here on things like steel and cars, which are two main components of the economy
You
right
could
now.
also do decreasing like HST or was it GST on groceries?
Yeah.
GST.
Because that just makes the public happy. People like to
Exactly.
see
People
that.
like
love
to
it
see
when
that
groceries
during
are
the GST holiday that was done by Trudeau.
I saw so
And
many
his
people in the
government.
grocery stores. They were like,
It was
Exactly,
filled up. Yeah, it
exactly.
was unreal.
Like
It was,
that'd get the money flowing. They get people back buying stuff.
Yeah, like
That's
the
true.
also like the central bank would also like ideally lower interest rates in a situation like this to try and increase consumer spending and bring the economy back to where it should be, instead of just forcing money into it,
Okay.
creating a gap that cannot be easily fixed.
So I do like that idea. In fact, I think we should have that tax break for longer even. However, if we do this, I do think we should like switch like the tax break up a little bit. Yes, groceries, that's important. But for some reason, game consoles is on there.
It was just for Christmas gifts. That's why game consoles were on there. It's because
oh, okay.
but the problem is if this kept on too long, it could cause us to go even further into deficit
Yeah,
than we are right
that's-
now.
That's like my concern with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you, sir, for taking this time to listen to our ramblings, and I hope you had a great semester. Hope you had a great year, and we'll see you all later, sir.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you for
semester.
watching.
Say hi.
Thank
care.
you.
See you, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Guys. Thank you.
I should take it as a sign.
So our GP right now is
You said
little bit
GPR.
Dude, why'd you interrupt him, bro? Why'd you interrupt him? Let him keep going.
GPR.
trillion, and it's a little bit
Down.